Beef Stew of all people, Jaylen gives him the throw slap just right at him.
That was
staring
sick.
him down.
They did that right in front of Scott Foster. Like, I don't know how that didn't.
Dude, who cares about Scott Foster? We've seen what Isaiah Stewart does when you not the guy.
It's also
of all the
true.
people in the league.
Also very true.
Porzingis and Horford both playing. It was almost like, that's weird. Like, why are they both playing tonight? Like, it shouldn't be happening.
Feels like a forbidden fruit. Like, it's like too good.
Right.
It's too much.
It is.
It's gluttonous, really.
It is.
Is LeBron washed?
Yeah, I mean, relative to LeBron, yes. I think he's been one of probably the most harmful defensive players in the entire NBA.
Wow.
He can't get it going at all.
Strip the bolts on them. Shoulda never sent them to pick up the work for them. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was all goners. Tech cursive on the Jets.
All right. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It's Wednesday, December 4th. The Celtics get the win over the Pistons, 130-120. Jaylen again leading the way with scoring, 28 points. No Tatum, no Holiday in tonight's game. Bringing in Chud. What'd you make of this game? I thought Pistons, I think what Scal was saying at the beginning of it, where they just kind of don't work hard. That was kind of what it looked like in the first half. But once they did, this looked like a pretty feisty team, this Pistons team.
Yeah, I mean,
they also shot lights out.
Well, I was going to say, that it helps when you shoot the absolute laces off the ball. But, yeah, I mean, we've talked about that, I think, on a couple occasions back when we played them and when we've talked about them around the league, that this is not just the typical Pistons, like the stereotypical Pistons we've seen the last few years. You can clearly see what they're building. Cade Cunningham, I think, is still a bit of a Rorschach test where it's kind of hard to tell how much is, like, puts up good stats on a bad team versus, like, as the team gets better, so will he. But he's obviously a very talented player. You can see something there, and it's like the team. It's funny to think back to last year. Obviously, Monty Williams was just like an awful coach, but also the team just had no like competent role players and shooters around their young players. So it's just like one of those things where I think you build a team and you're thinking it's like 2K in your head and you're like, why would we want these guys? But you see the difference it makes just having guys who, you know, we wouldn't even consider good players. Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr. Mm-hmm. They're like fringe rotation players in the NBA, but on a team like this, like veterans like that makes such a difference. And I think you can see it rubbing off on those young players where now they have a mix that makes sense. And tonight, you know, I think part of the coming out flat or whatever you want to call it by them, they did have a back-to-back last night against the Bucks, which was to win the group in the NBA Cup. So I think like for the Pistons, that's a pretty big deal. Huge game. They got smoked, but I'm sure like a little bit of a letdown then. Second night of a back-to-back coming to Boston. And also I thought we came out looking really good and we were shooting really well. And then I think both teams kind of settled into the game. I don't want to say we like let our foot off the gas, but it seemed like we were almost just kind of like got up that
maybe
big
a little
lead.
In the fourth.
Yeah, and then we were just happily kind of keeping them at arm's reach. Like never really got it up too bad that we were like really pouring it on, but also it never really felt like they were that close that it was a competitive game. And then in the fourth quarter, at one point they were shooting like 18 of 28 on threes. They were at like 70% shooting, and it just felt like everything was falling. And then you looked up, and all of a sudden they had cut it to like 6-7 points in that fourth quarter. And it really, again, I don't think the Celtics even were doing anything too bad. They just went on a crazy heater.
Malik Beasley, you mentioned him. He was just shooting light. He finished 6 for 11, but
just a professional shooter. A couple of those were crazy. A lot more Pretty Ricky talk too, which we'll get into.
Ton more. Yeah. Ton more Pretty Ricky talk.
But yeah, ultimately I closed it out, and you know, maybe this is just new mindset of the Celtics. We're the champs of the Pistons type deal. But even down 6 in those last few minutes, I was looking at it kind of like, all right, like this is a cute little comeback. Like, but let's finish this off and move on. Never really felt like the game was actually in doubt.
Yeah, I think when it got to 5, there was the concern, you know, you leaned up in your seat a little bit like that, but it wasn't anything too crazy. But
Did they get to 5? I thought it was 6. And we like immediately hit a 3. Maybe it's 5. I thought it was 5, but either way, I think it was. I felt almost a little bad for the Pistons because they played so well in that fourth quarter to get it down to that, and then in that very next possession, they just let Pritchard get absolutely wide open for a 3, and obviously buries it, and that's. From that point on, it's pretty much game. That was the dagger. But I thought the fourth quarter here, it was more just their shooting.
Like you said, at one point they're shooting like 70% from three. They had like the same number of threes as us, but with like 10 fewer threes taken.
Yeah.
So I think they finished somewhere around like 50%. But this is a nice little Pistons team. I think Scal mentioned it too. Like it seemed like the coach probably just ripped on him. And maybe, like you said, losing last night was maybe part of that. It's like, okay, like we lost that. Like, are we also just going to go pissing ourselves here or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, that was another fun game. Like you said, this season, before we went in, we were talking all about like how this, keeping like engaged all season. And I think that there's been a couple of these games, obviously, where there's a few people out, and it makes just for some interesting basketball and some fun games. And this one we end up winning by 10 still, but it was good. It was a fun game to watch, exciting game to watch. You glued to the screen, so.
And I think that's credit some of that to the Pistons. That I think we've said, I don't think they're ready to like actually win in a meaningful way, and they're maybe not even ready to be a playoff team, but they're at least ready to be a fun, competitive team. And you saw that tonight, and I think that's why I've called them out a few times for how much I'm enjoying them on League Pass, because it does just seem like all their games go down to the wire. And I think you saw some of that tonight, where you saw like when they can be really good and streaky, and suddenly they're making this giant comeback, and the opposite of that when they're coming out kind of flat and it seems like they're just stuck in mud and teams are going the other way. So you can see how they can let up big runs, they can make big runs, but it does seem like one way or another, all their games end up being fairly close and exciting down the stretch. And again, it's just like a competent rotation of players. They're young guys. I mean, they clearly have something in Cade. I like Ivy. Marcus Sasser, I love. He is just a friggin' dog. That kid, he's not going to be a star, but he's going to be a really good NBA player for a long time. He was a lot like a Peyton Pritchard, not similar type of player, but a guy who just was absolutely dominant in college basketball for his entire career at the highest level and just got passed over because he was, older, not the biggest guy, but like anyone who watched that guy play at Houston was like, this kid is just really good at basketball. You saw it tonight. Amazing defender, absolute hound dog, can score a little bit, shoot the ball, not bad. So I like what they got in him. We didn't even see Hauser Thompson tonight, who, his twin, Amen Thompson, has been going crazy for the Rockets. I think he's a little better, but Hauser, another really good prospect. You saw some Ron Holland out there tonight, their top 5 pick this year, who I think it's probably might be generous to say he looks raw, but you can kind of see where it's going, and now they've rounded that out. Oh, Jaylen Brown, too. It's solid young big man. So they've got some nice core pieces who are all really young, and they've actually put competent veterans around them now, which is just putting the team in a position to build good habits, to be competitive. JB Bickerstaff, obviously a good veteran coach who you trust. So I think it's just good. Like, we grew up, and even before our time, Detroit Pistons, one of the iconic NBA franchises, always a proud team, proud history that always, played hard, and a rival of the Celtics, a thorn in our side over the years. But it's almost gotten sad to see what that franchise has become in recent years. So it's good to see that I think they're at least headed back in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the total opposite of like the episode with the Heat game. Just
like maybe they're going in opposite directions now.
Yeah, no, I mean, they definitely sound like they are. But yeah, no, this is a good team. But enough about the Pistons. I think I want to kind of start just talking about Sam Hauser. Obviously didn't play in the last game, personal reasons. Seems like everything is all right on that front. He came out today, he had 20 points, made 5 threes. The offense obviously is what we're used to. Like the way he can get a shot up so fast, it's so like he doesn't even pull the ball back. It looks like half the times. But I think really the thing with Sam tonight was his defense. He was all over the place. He had one steal. It felt like he had way more than one steal. He had at least a few deflections or something like that. I don't have the advanced stats here, but just felt like he was everywhere. He was making it difficult for everyone that was covering him. So. Yeah, that's again, I think the big thing. The offense is easy to see, but what he's become defensively is pretty awesome. So I think Hauser had a great game tonight.
He did. Sam played really well.
The Chuddy bar should have picked up on that, him being due.
He was. You're right about him being due. Maybe the game off did just kind of help him, but I mean, a testament to the Celtics team and the Celtics bench that it's such a next man up mentality, and it's just such a joy that we can get a random 20-point night from almost anyone in our top like 7-8 guys on the roster. Is pretty crazy. Yeah. I saw someone tweeted tonight, I forget who, but it's a great point. I'm sure you could make this with a lot of guys, but Hauser and Pritchard combined make like the same amount as Duncan Robinson, something like that. So just two of the absolute biggest discount contracts in the entire league for two guys who would be like probably third or fourth starters on most teams, who are really good two-way players, him and Pritchard. Pritchard's gotten all the attention lately, But Hauser tonight was awesome. He also, you mentioned the good defense. He had a Cornet contest early in the game. I saw him bust out, which was just like, oh, wow, that's interesting.
Good to see.
And it worked. And then maybe obviously the shooting we all know about, but he had that beautiful play where he cut and then almost Euro stepped in the lane as he got fouled, finished with the left, and then did the little Marcus Smart, like, look at my left hand celebrations. I'm like, all right, Sam is absolutely feeling himself right now, and rightfully so. Like you said, he's just a really,
with players
really
like
good,
that,
player.
confidence is like what I think that's what Pritchard's just been playing with so much confidence. So I think for Hauser to have a night like this, I mean, that could be unlocking. Not that I don't think he's been playing like poorly or anything, but it could just be unlocking kind of like this next kind of level and maybe a little bit of run for him. So
yeah,
I mean,
but
I think he had the second most points on the team. No, third most. I'm sorry. Porzingis had 26. Jaylen had 28. So I mean, three guys with. It's just so funny. The Celtics
had 19.
Three guys with 20. It's Jaylen, Porzingis, then Hauser.
Right.
And like you said, Pritchard with 19 too. So he was right there.
That's what I mean. It could be anyone on any night. Just about. Just an unreal luxury for the team to have. So fun to watch, and credit to Sam. Great. It was his night, and he was amazing. It just goes to show it when you're the defense. I mean, we would talk about how it's pick your poison, and on a night where we don't have our best player, we're missing another starter. And it's like, now you got to worry about Hauser. That Pritchard 3 at the end, you alluded to it. They did such a good job. If you go back and watch that replay when Pritchard was wide open, they did such a good job face guarding Brown and White, denying them the ball off the inbounds. And la-di-da, here comes Pritchard, the hottest player in the league, to hit a dagger 3. Like,
it was just so funny.
What are you supposed to do?
I just saw him appear right up at the center, and he just just the smoothest, just like turning around, catching the ball, and just forward. And just like you knew that was going in. Yeah, there was no way that wasn't going in.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything. Do you have anything else on like the game? A lot of my stuff is kind of like,
I thought
like ancillary or something.
Yeah. So
we got to talk about Jaylen too.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jaylen, especially in the first half too. I mean, I think he had 23 of those points in the first half. He had 6 rebounds. I think he finished with 9 assists. But especially in that first half, I felt like he was absolutely dominating, and it's just so crazy to watch. Like, Tatum's out, and it just felt like he was totally taking over that Tatum role of just like initiating everything. He had that team completely on their heels. And again, we obviously know about the scoring, the shot making, but the playmaking and the ball handling, how far it's come. And you see those teams like back in the day that if he was trying to initiate offense, they would just get in his jock and just try to push him like farther and farther away from the 3-point line, get into his handle, all that. You do that now, he's just going to blow right by you. And you saw poor Beef Stew was missed out when Holland tried to pick him. Jaylen went by him and, added another one for the graveyard. That was an absolute poster on a guy who's not that easy to posterize. And then Beef Stew, of all people, Jaylen gives him the throat slash just right after.
That was sick. They do that right in front of Scott Foster. Like, I don't know how that didn't.
Oh, dude, who cares about Scott Foster? We've seen what Isaiah Stewart does when you not the guy.
It's also
of all
true.
The people in the league.
Also very true. Yeah,
make that gesture to. My God, that was not much you can do.
I saw too that those two were jawing at each other, but like right before that play too. So. Dude, that's got to be so brutal in basketball. Like when you just chirp someone and then like 3 plays later, they absolutely yam it down on you.
In a totally legal way that there's nothing you can do about.
Right. And then throat slash you. And then no, it wasn't an and-1 because he was staring at her the inbound.
And backing away.
I mean, dude, that's crazy, dude. That's like a crazy person move. Doing that to us.
But it just goes to show, like, I think, I think it was the episode you weren't on. I forget if it was with Jeff or Joe was filling in, and they mentioned how it was like a talking point on local sports radio that the Celtics needed like a PJ Tucker or like an enforcer type. And my response was that people think that because they don't realize that our enforcers are also our stars. Like, Jaylen Brown doesn't get that kind of reputation because he's actually a sick player. He's not just a goon to go in there and be like an enforcer. He's obviously a superstar, but he's also like, you're not fucking with him. He's just a badass. And like, it's just amazing that that's our star player. It's also the guy who will go and fucking throat slash Isaiah Stewart right in his face, who needed 70 people to hold him back from beating up LeBron.
Jaylen was 2 feet away from him with just him and Scott Foster in between him,
tearing through him.
What do you think the fine's going to be for? What do you think the fine's going to be for that?
I saw someone saying
$50K.
That someone had done that, and I
feel like I remember Durant doing it.
Was it Durant? There was.
Did you do like the Slim Reaper?
Maybe. I don't know. It's silly. I don't see why that should be a fine. Like, who cares? What's the What's the reason? Like, oh,
especially when you do it right in front of the
cut someone's
referee.
head off. Well, he didn't call it a technical or anything. There was no reaction from Stewart. They played on like,
and he's obviously not intending to cut the guy's head off.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, what would be the reason for the fine of like terrorist like act on like, well, like who cares?
It was smooth too. I saw a few close-ups to it. That was like
very with the thumb. I like the throat slash with the thumb. I always go forefinger. I'm gonna start doing thumb.
Oh no, I feel like the thumb is like a way more like scary one because you're looking at like a whole balled up fist. It's like
totally
like you can get a whole like flex on with the
as soon as I saw it occurred to me that I've been missing out. I've been doing it all wrong.
Yeah, you're gonna update. You're gonna update your throat slashing.
Oh,
yeah, you have to.
It's a must. It's a must. But that was cool.
But overall, too, just on Jaylen's night, too, to go back to that, he was unreal, moving the ball around, 9 assists. I feel like I don't remember the last time I saw him get that many assists, but again, he played. They had him out there with all the bench guys too, sort of like in that Tatum role, played the whole first quarter. So just a luxury to have him just be able to step in. I can't believe they got Tatum to sit a game, but
yeah.
It's good to know that if he does, there's still, they don't have to change a whole lot. It just kind of runs more through Jaylen.
Yeah, you just get your other guy goes out and puts up, a casual 28, 9 and 6, and completely controlled the game. Like easily could have had.
Well, hold on, that wasn't his stat line. Well, I don't know. I feel like no, it was, but I feel like usually I say rebounds second.
Well, yeah, I just was going in
28, 6, and
order
9,
of what was highest.
3 steals too.
3 steals, yeah, of course. Always playing great defense. So I mean, that's just pretty sweet. You had a superstar, best player out, and really no drop off to the guy who kind of just seamlessly fills into that role. Which again is just amazing to think not that long ago that Jaylen could be that dynamic of a lead offensive creator hub type on that end. But
always believed
he's just so polished. He's just gotten so good at it. You gotta love it, I guess. So
I do.
I don't know, but awesome night from Jaylen. Not like a huge surprise. And you just Porzingis, I felt like a quiet kind of 26, like very just solid, and it really
mixed up with Beast too. Also,
yeah, including a very scary fall in that second half when he tried to block a shot and he got pump faked, went down, and it's anytime he goes down, it's like a heart stopper. But this one even looked a little. He was in the air like way longer than I'd like and did not land on his feet. But he just looks good out there. Like he, I don't know what I was expecting when he came back, but he definitely doesn't look like a guy who missed, 4 or 5 months of basketball at all. So
no.
I guess it's just like knock on wood, but it felt weird with like Tatum out there. But then it's like, but Porzingis and Horford both playing. It was almost like, that's weird. Like, why are they both playing tonight? Like, it like shouldn't be happening.
Feels like a forbidden fruit. Like it's like too good.
Right,
it's
but
too
it
much.
Is
it's gluttonous, really.
It is, and it is just crazy how much he opens up out there and how easy everything comes to him in the flow of the offense when he's playing like that and just manipulating the defense so much, and that's how you lead to him getting like a relatively quiet, I would say, 26 points tonight, which is, again, I just keep saying it, but what a luxury for the Celtics to have.
I love just watching him just like go to work when he gets into the paint, and it's like. He just swings those arms, and it's like you're either going to end up fouling him, or he's just going to get a shot just right over you, and you don't have it, and he won't even see you as he shoots it. So
pretty much, and yeah, that's the one thing that seems like might be a little off still is the shot. So once he heats up with that,
he did have a night. He did have one of his typical 30-footers, though. Those are always
he always does. Sometimes it seems like he misses a couple. He almost needs to step back a foot or two. It's more in his comfort zone.
He's too close. He's too close.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I wonder if, like, for a 7-footer, like being at like 32 feet, it's probably like a regular person being like 28 feet. Yeah.
Yeah. His depth perception gets off.
Yeah. All right. You got anything else gameplay related, or can I dive into some of my strange other things that I noticed?
Yeah. No, nothing too crazy. I think Peterson again. Shout out. It's so funny how these guys suddenly it's just like Peterson's just part of the rotation.
He didn't really play much in the second half, did he?
No, not really. But we came in the first half, looked comfortable, and he just looks confident. And it's hard for me to watch this happening and not think of what we're talking about, where you see on a night where Sam Hauser's out there doing the left hand celebration of the crowd, and we're talking about how good it is to see that confidence. It's like this is how Hauser's confidence started, exactly on the same path.
Yeah.
So don't want to toot our horn with like our development system and whatever we've got going on right now, but. My God, top to bottom, just a wonderful organization to root for.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, I have a couple questions. What was the ref chirping the Pistons bench for at the start of the game?
I don't know. I saw that.
He told
too.
him to sit down. Like I didn't know that. I feel
I'm
like I've
guessing
seen
they were
benches
coming
be
like
way
on
around
the
here.
court. I think they were maybe.
Yeah, but I see that all the time too.
It's
just way early for that. Yeah, that was weird.
I'm sure it was just being a hardo. Classic ref
also,
shit.
Scal and Drew, I feel like they take a lot of shots at Washburn during the broadcast. So they said today that like there's like no issue. They went out to lunch and everything's good.
Broke bread.
See, I'm all right with that, but I do like, has Washburn like made a column where he's just like, okay, I was wrong. Or is he like standing by it? Because it's like,
I don't know.
All right, that's fine. But it's like that. If you look back at when that take happened and everything that happened from that take, that's like a historically bad take. Like just like it gets worse with every single passing game that they make 23s a game. So it's just,
I don't know how much he's walked
I'm all
it back.
for,
If at
we don't
all.
need to see. That's the thing.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. But I also, even then, I never felt like there was any like real animosity. Like I always felt like it was all still like messing around with like a friendly, like there was never like, I mean,
no, yeah, it was like a Perk situation,
or Embiid for assaulting the reporter from Philly in like his town,
it certainly wasn't
like,
that.
Well, exactly. So that's why I think they're maybe like treading a little on that of making the point where it's like it might seem like there's like a thing, but it's like more lighthearted, and even like Washburn and Joe will like joke kind of back and forth in the press conferences and stuff. So I think it's all that's super friendly. Saying. Yeah.
Washburn, but he just needs to accept that he needs to.
If he's sticking to that take.
Yeah, he just needs to accept that, like, that's like.
He's still going to the Globe every day, like, we gotta cut back with the threes.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
What happened to the mid range?
I have no like issue long term, but it is just kind of like, it's like, if I was like sitting down, like at that dinner, like I wonder if they're like, but you do realize like that was such a bad take, right? Like, but yeah, no, it was, obviously. It's a nice family-friendly organization that we're trying to run here. So there's not any major beef, and it's also not like Washburn is like a Shaughnessy or something where he's just like a hot take artist or whatever. He's more just like a reporter, like
exactly.
So
exactly.
No, that was funny, but it made me think about it. I just was like, that really is though. Like that's like the person I'm trying to think of, like, well, like an example, like when like a new invention comes out and someone's like, oh, who the hell's gonna run like a TV in their freaking house? I think that's crazy. Like, an airplane? No way. Exactly. I'll stick to cars, thanks.
A phone without a cord? Why?
Yeah. That's not gonna take off. No, that's dumb.
Why would I cut the bread into pieces? But I'm picturing it that like Scal, like the meme where the guy's like holding the guy's eyes open, forcing him to look, and Drew's just holding up a paper that says just like 3 is greater than 2, and Washburn's like, I would love to know what he says if he's just like, all right. I was just trying to like get my take off.
The thing is, like, I understand it. It's just people fear new things, change, and things like that. But
it caught attention because a lot of people obviously agreed and were parroting. It was like he was the credible one saying it, but it was totally just like
we're all that was funny.
But that was
funny. Yeah, no, that was good. What else do they have? I did love Derek's halftime interview, just saying like almost, I don't know if you ever heard I think it's Mike Tomlin that says like the standard is the standard. I feel like it sounded like we've kind of adopted that. Like they were asking about how they play when guys are on. He just said the standard like is like, we just have standards and you gotta live up to them. So that just got me fired up.
Love that.
And Drew's dad was cut by Coach K at West Point. Did you hear that?
I did. I had that in my notes. That was very sudden that they just randomly were showing shots of the crowd.
Like, oh, that's my dad.
That's my dad. Like, sit down for service night. He was like served, and then he's like, Scal was like, hey, looks pretty big. Can he shoot? And he's like, yeah, he got. Coach K cut him from Ed Army. I'm like,
West Point. Yeah, that's the craziest part.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's quite
so like before, like so that must have been
to have never heard.
I mean, Coach K must have been like 25 or something. Like how old was he when at West Point? He
coached an Army before Duke, obviously. So
right, but he was at Duke for a billion years.
80s, I guess early.
I don't know. I'll try to look it up.
Yeah, I might have to get. I think it was Stephen Carter. So I might have to mix it up in the internets and see what's going on there. But yeah, he totally just slipped that in right at the end of the game. Where I mean,
and then he just like that's a story for a different day. It's like I don't know, dude. Like I feel like that's a great story for right now.
Yeah. Also, he's probably called 100 games. That's the first time I've ever heard him reference like anything really about his life beyond just like being the Celtics. Well, what if
just because his dad was there? Yeah, seriously, it's like
they showed him on the screen. It would have been weirder if he didn't acknowledge it.
He doesn't just go into like a closet and recharge in TD Garden.
Yeah,
he's a real boy.
You have a dad?
What the fuck?
Yeah.
All right, so
But I did
1975
notice
to
that.
1980, he coached at Army. He was born in
There you go.
1947. So he was like 28 when he started coaching there.
Mm.
So I guess like a little bit, not as like young as I was picturing, but yeah, that's
great.
crazy.
Yeah, need
Good
more.
stuff.
Need more on that.
Yeah, we'll dive into it. All right, yeah, and then I don't really. The only other thing that I was this kind of went up. Pritchard being considered like for most improved player as well as six-man award, and they just briefly kind of said like, what do you like if you were ranking those awards? Where would you like? Which one do you think is like the better award to win? Like, if
I would say
what would you be more proud of?
The way that the NBA gives the award out, I would say most improved player is more prestigious because if you just look at the last few years, it's gone to a guy who basically went from like in their like second, third, or fourth year in the league, took a leap to like stardom. So lately they've been giving it to guys who become stars. I want to say like Tyrese Maxey got it last year. I think John Morant has gotten it in recent years. I personally hate the way that they give out that award because I think it should go to guys who actually make like unlikely improvements. Those to me are expected improvements. Maxey was a star after 2 years. In his third year, he took a normal leap and became like a really like I don't know, like guys like John Morant is like you were the second pick. By your third year, we're all expecting you to take a leap and become a star. To me, I would rather it goes to guys like a Peyton Pritchard or a Sam Hauser even last year. Guys who go from like this guy doesn't even seem like they're gonna have a career to suddenly like, oh, they're actually like a really good rotation player. So that's how I would give it out. Obviously, that's not how it works, which is just stupid. You can basically just look at before the season and be like, the award this year, just looking, is probably going to go to like Jalen Williams, Wembanyama, I don't know, who pick your young star-ish player who's just like Paolo.
Sorry, I'm just diving into the list.
Yeah, it's going to be someone who we basically was on the cusp of becoming a star and is super young and just took a leap to become a star, where it's just like, yeah, that's what you should have done. And I just think it should go to someone who's more of been like the opposite. You thought they had no potential and became like a solid player. So,
wow, there's only one player to ever win the award who's gone on to be a Hall of Famer.
Wow,
Tracy McGrady.
That's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah, Jalen Rose, not a Hall of Famer. Interesting. Gilbert Arenas was won it. Zach Randolph has won it. Hidu Turkoglu. Holy shit, that's sick. Yeah, no, it's coolest. Yeah, so it was Maxey, Lauri Markkanen, John Morant, Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, Pascal Siakam, Oladipo, Giannis. That's like the last, 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess, but I feel like 6 Man of the Year is kind of like, I would have thought that was the more prestigious one, but because I feel like that's,
I mean, I don't know. It's up for like I don't know. It's kind of whatever, I guess. But I think the further point on Pritchard was, I feel like everyone's been hyping him up like the last few days, especially more, including us on this show last time. But it kind of felt like he was due for a stinker, and it kind of felt like tonight was that stinker, and that stinker ended up being 19-6-5.
Yeah.
Oh, right, and that speaks to how good he's become. Where it's just like, oh, like Pritchard wasn't that great tonight. He only had like 19.
19, 5 and 4 in the steal.
Pretty pedestrian showing for Pritchard. It's 19 points. Like,
just did feel like it was. He ended up getting the number for the Chuddy bar, and I put him in. But after I put it in, I was kind of like, this does feel like this might be kind of the game because he was on like ESPN, like he was on all this kind of little press tour, which he deserves it, obviously.
Totally, but you felt like a stinker.
But yeah, it's kind of like
He missed 2 buzzer beaters that have, in like the first and second quarter, he missed buzzer beaters that were very makeable for him. It just felt like tonight was like, it's like, almost not like the stardom talk is going to his head, but like,
no, it's just natural.
The lights are on a little brighter than they've been.
I think teams I think teams are just hip to him more. Like I think it's just like
as they should be.
Yeah, so but yeah, no. I mean, again, like I said, a bad night. He was 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, or 4 assists.
Yeah,
he was 5 for 13 from 3, so that's probably why it feels like it wasn't.
Yeah,
he didn't go 10 for 13. Like, so what the fuck?
Yeah, right. It's like it felt like again, eye test wise, it felt like a bad
different
game,
and just different.
And it wasn't different at all. Yeah,
all right, sweet. Do you got anything else on the game before we give out our Chuddy Chains?
I mean, gotta circle back to the Pretty Ricky situation. It does like what is going on here? We talked about it last game. They both are clearly talking about Pretty Ricky like it's one individual, and
right. And
Pretty Ricky, about him at
the
length
band,
is a so I'm wondering if it's the main guy from Pretty Ricky, and they both just clearly assume that Pretty Ricky is one guy, and that's who it is, and he's sitting there, and he must sit courtside every game the way they've been talking about it. I think they were saying him and Malik Beasley were trash talking back and forth during the game. And then they kept talking about it. They were going back and forth. He was saying he's like, we need to get Pretty Ricky to come sit with us during the broadcast.
This is saying that it's Ricky Davis?
That's who they're talking about?
Well, I typed in Celtics, Pretty Ricky Celtics, and Ricky Davis is the first thing that came up.
There's no way they're talking about Ricky Davis. That would be awesome and hilarious, but there's no way Ricky Davis is just at the Garden sitting courtside every game. Absolutely no way. No. Okay. There's definitely not talking about that.
We have to dive into something else.
We got to figure this out. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned it last game, and I kind of like had caught it in passing, but
today it was like they talked about it, they said we're going to get him on they were talking about getting him on,
to sit with them. So
hopefully we just figure it out. Hopefully they just get him
or
on.
Is he going to sit with them and just be like, yeah, I'm not Pretty Ricky, like I'm a member of Pretty Ricky? What? Like, no way.
But what would be the connection to the Pretty Ricky group?
Still no idea, but it would just be funny if, I don't know, like maybe I have no clue. Like I probably hadn't thought of Pretty Ricky before last episode in I don't know.
There's nothing.
Yeah,
nothing. All signs are pointing just to Ricky Davis, but I agree that would be the craziest outcome. That would be an even crazier outcome than it actually being the Pretty Ricky guy, like for the band.
Yeah, I really.
Yeah, we'll look into it. We don't need to figure it out now.
I feel like we need more info now, but I just don't. I don't know.
I'm looking. Well, why don't we start? You got to give out your Chuddy Chains, so go ahead. You're going first tonight. So who do you have? Who do you give your Chuddy Chain to?
Oof. Man, another tough call tonight. I could easily go in a number of directions, but I'm gonna go with I think the one player who stood out tonight that we didn't already give a segment to, and that is the big man, Luke Cornett. Both of our starting bigs back in the lineup, and Cornett still came in, had a great game. So sneakily, almost had a double-double. He had a steal, a couple blocks. He was doing busted out a new stir it up celebration, apparently, after
I thought that it was I was also, we must be also house divided like the broadcast, because I thought he was saying to feed me more.
Interesting. I don't know.
Drew and Scal were split on it, too.
Yeah, all right. So, yeah, well, but they asked Sam, and he said it was stirred up. He says, definitely stirred up. He's stirring it up. So
it's who knows? Luke that did it.
Yeah.
Also, I see multiple people on Celtics on Twitter saying, who is Pretty Ricky? And people saying, I'm wondering the same thing. So the mystery lives on.
It's fascinating.
All right. So your trade Jade's going to Luke. I think it's very well deserved.
Yeah.
He had a couple more blocks tonight. Yeah, he's a beast. He's a beast.
Doubt. He just it does feel like he has kind of changed after that mini benching we talked about, where it seemed like he wasn't maybe playing his best. They sat him down, and it does seem like Joe's told him, like, dude, you're the third center. Just go out there and be ferocious, go for blocks, go play hard, and we'll just live with your, play within yourself. Do what you're good at. Don't overthink it. And it seems like he's playing a lot better recently. So good to see.
Yeah, love that. All right, so mine, I have two in mind that I want to go with. I feel like it's so hard not to give a Chuddy Chain to Jaylen for the throat slash right in Isaiah Stewart's face. Yeah. But I really think Sam Hauser was the guy who really just kind of encapsulated what I picture when I think of the Chuddy Chain, where it's just like this, just kind of this hustle play. Like I said, what he was doing on defense, especially early on in the game, just totally kind of making his presence felt the whole entire game. So finished with the 20 points, finished with the 5 threes. That's great too.
Hell yeah.
But really where here in my Chuddy Chain was on the other end and just getting in guys' way, even when he wasn't, like I said, he only had one steal, but it felt like he impacted way more like plays or did things that led to steals. I don't know if there's some advanced stat for that, but definitely Hauser for me for my Chuddy Chain tonight. So
fair.
I think it's a couple well-earned Chuddy Chains, but it's really hard. I think we could just give an honorable Chuddy Chain to Jaylen just for throat slashing right in Isaiah Stewart's face, because it is great. That is great.
Awesome.
All All right, what do you say we pay some bills and then get into around the NBA?
Deal.
All right. Shout out to our sponsor. Chuddy's Corner is sponsored by Nick Perino Real Estate. Check out nickperino.com for all of your real estate needs. That's NICKPIRAINO.com. Nick's got you covered for everything big and small, local, statewide, nationwide, worldwide, and beyond. Check out nickperino.com. Kid loves to move. Kid loves to help you move. Give him a call. All right. Around the NBA, what do you have going on for us?
A couple almost housekeeping things. So Jayson Tatum won Player of the Month for November. It's November/October because there's obviously those few games at the end of October. But the season's first Player of the Month award for the Eastern Conference goes to Tatum. Wild stat, he's won this now 3 years in a row. He's gotten the November/October Player of the Month award.
Guy just comes out hot.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I thought it was notable too that the Western Conference Player of the Month, despite how dominant Jokic has been, went to SGA. So I don't know if you want to read anything into that, or if that they need, maybe because Jokic's team is, down around that like 6 to 10 range seeding wise. So maybe this is like the early indication that like, hey, you want that fourth MVP, you're gonna have to be like the top 3 or 4 seed. In which case, I like Tatum's odds a lot better if he's competing with the Shea and not Jokic.
Yeah,
obviously, again, we just said Tatum's won this 3 years in a row, so it doesn't mean anything, but still pretty impressive. And I think they were saying now he has 5 Player of the Month awards for his career, which is second in Celtics history only to Larry Bird. So
7,
pretty good.
He had 7, I think. Yeah,
yeah. You'd have to think Tatum will catch him.
Might catch that this year.
Yeah. I would definitely think so. Then other things, so they do the Rookie Players of the Month too, which went to Jared McCain of the Sixers and Jalen Wells of the Grizzlies.
No shine.
And then he got snubbed, sadly. And then they now also do Defensive Player of the Month, which I think this is new and maybe even like a bit over the top, but
a bit.
Wembanyama and Dyson Daniels. Daniels, whose defense we saw firsthand during the peak of his deflection, steal, renaissance, whatever
streak. Yeah.
So that was kind of interesting, but just wanted to drop those in there for you. Then in around the NBA, actually last night, so obviously the Celtics not in action, and crazy night of NBA basketball with all the NBA Cup stuff going on. So we kind of went over in detail what the Celtics needed to happen. The Magic did not help us out at all. We just needed them to win. In fact, they lost by so much that it became interesting in that they almost lost the point differential, which they went in having a 37-point buffer. So basically we needed the Magic to lose by 37 or more. They were down by over 37 in the third and fourth quarter. So it actually did get kind of hairy. But down the stretch of that game, it got a lot closer. I think it only ended up being like a 15 or 18-point game. So thus ends the Celtics NBA Cup run. I would have liked to make it. We wanted the treble. We weren't being shy about that, but
pro treble pod. That's
pro treble, exactly. But having said that, to lose in this fashion where it's like we didn't lose a knockout game. The only game we lost was to the Hawks by 1 point in that crazy fashion. And now instead of having to play potentially an extra game and 2 tough games against the teams in the NBA Cup, our 2 extra games are this Pistons team again, and then the Wizards on Sunday with a ton of days off in between. So if your focus is just on like what's overall best for the team in their pursuit of a title, it's hard to argue that this isn't a good outcome for the Celtics. And I'm excited to watch the NBA Cup. I mean, it should be really good matchups where we've got the Knicks versus the Hawks, and then the Bucks against the Magic. So those are exciting games. And then out west, Rockets, Thunder, both in it, and Warriors. Mavericks. Warriors and Mavericks. Warriors, Mavericks.
Segment.
Whew, that was a close one.
But here's a thought. The NBA Cup should just do that should be like regardless of conference seeding. That should be I guess because you have to go travel and play. That'd be kind of hard
for the groups. Yeah,
work that one out. No. I'm not saying for the groups. The groups can be that.
Oh, once you get to
the knockout round, because aren't they all in Vegas for it, or is it just the finals?
Just the semifinals. So there's one more game, one more elimination.
So that might be a little bit hard travel wise to do that, but that would be kind of like an interesting thing. If like
when it's the Final Four, maybe they go to Vegas and pick out of a hat or something.
Yeah,
for seeding.
I do also. Yeah, I think it's good for us that we ended up getting like the schedule that we now have is like very favorable. I think to us.
Yeah.
But the thing I was kind of saying with the cup was like I like want it'd be cool to win it, but like I don't really care that we lost it, or like that we aren't going to win it. Like so, it's kind of like if it worked out, that'd be cool. But it's just like if it doesn't, it's like okay, whatever. Like I felt nothing.
No, of course.
When we were eliminated, but it was fun. I mean, you can't argue that it hasn't been like a little interesting and a little fun. Like some of those games. I mean, just the fact that we were watching that game last night, like hoping for like a 37-point spread. Like
exactly.
I mean, I guess if you gamble anyway, it's like another thing. Like even if you didn't bet on the game, you have that kind of. It almost triggers those same sensations.
No, but it was cool, and there was a lot of. I mean, we talked about the Bucks Pistons. That was basically an elimination game. So getting a pseudo playoff game between a team like the Bucks that came into the year with championship aspirations, and a team like the Pistons, who for them trying to get the NBA Cup, like that's for that
extra $500K. I bet for some of those players.
Well, yeah, but also the best thing. I mean, like we said, that team's moving in the right direction, but they're obviously nowhere near competing. But something like that early in the season, especially like a lot of these teams too, it'll be a good opportunity for teams that are kind of thinking like, our organization probably wants us to tank, and maybe we eventually will. But this is our chance before anyone's tanking.
But for now,
like we have something here, and it's fun, for some of these teams. Again, the Magic, the Hawks, the Rockets, teams like that. Probably aren't going to be winning a title anytime soon, but hey, that'd be pretty cool for them and makes for some fun basketball. And yeah, all these games have been great. And like that Grizzlies Mavericks, great game last night that Mavericks made a huge comeback at the end to steal that game. And then that was the difference with them making it into the cup or not. But the other thing I wanted to say about the NBA Cup, we've talked a few times on this show about NBA Crunch Time, which is basically the NBA's version of NFL Red Zone. If anyone who hasn't watched this, you got to check this out. If for no other reason, I mean, you should check it out just because it's fucking awesome. But Jared Greenberg, the host of the show, shout out to him. This dude is like Scott Hansen on steroids in the middle of the witching hour for the entire show. As soon as it starts, it's the third quarter. He's screaming and this is again last night. It's the Magic nursing a 37-point deficit, and he's like, "Oh my god, it's a massive putback by Jonathan Isaac, and the Magic have cut it to 36." And it was in the third quarter, and he kept it up for probably an hour and a half of a broadcast. He's flipping about every basket. He's going crazy left and right. Every game, he's cutting in and out. He's like, when the Mavericks made that comeback, he's like, "There's a 16-2 run that the city of Dallas will never forget." It's like, if ever like the NBA needed a hype man to build the NBA Cup, like he is treating it like this is the most insane thing that's ever happened.
Didn't you say he had like the Steve Kornacki board?
Yeah, they got the big board of every game. He's doing the full Kornacki going. So like here the Mavericks are like up by 6, they need to hang on by 8. Then down here we've got the Warriors. Like it was just an unreal production. So. Obviously, that was that. There'll be many more episodes of Crunch Time starting tomorrow night on the NBA app, commercial-free, only NBA whip-around show. No free ads, but that's just a personal ad of mine, a product I will personally endorse.
They've done enough for the pod, even if they haven't financially backed us.
If for no other reason, you got to check out Greenberg's energy, man. This guy will make a random Tuesday night in the NBA feel like the craziest night in real life, so... Absolutely love that energy. He's been interactive with us before on Twitter, so great guy all around. But he put on an absolute masterclass last night, and going forward, that's got to be like a last night of NBA Cup group play tradition to watch Greenberg just absolutely lose his mind for 4 hours on national TV. So shout out to him.
Yeah. So is LeBron washed?
Yeah, I mean, relative to LeBron, yes.
That was crazy. I feel like the last 2 days, I've never seen Twitter was kind of like, that was like all over, like LeBron. Like, it was pretty funny. I saw someone made a 22-minute video of him, like, not even going above, like, a fast walk, going up and down the court, of, like, from, like, one game. It's crazy.
Yeah, so that's really the thing, because if you look at a lot of his stats, they're still respectable. Even his advanced stats, like, they're still... what you would consider a very good NBA player. It's just not in the tier of like what LeBron has become accustomed to. And you can see it. I mean, you can see it in the eye test when you watch the game, but most of it, like you said, he's gone from the point where I would say he's been mailing it in is probably a little too much, but let's just say like selectively playing defense in recent years, picking his spots and like conserving his energy. This year, I mean, again, I think he's been one of probably the most harmful defensive players in the entire NBA. He
Wow.
just can't get it going at all. I don't know if it's effort or he just doesn't have it left to go compete like that. But it's tough. And again, when he's not that dynamic of an offensive like hub, also, it's tough for him too, because when he doesn't have the ball, he's not doing that crazy slashing anymore. It's not like he's a great spot up shooter who's going to space the floor. So it gets a little clunky when you're trying to make this thing happen. And if he's not the guy, like the whole thing kind of doesn't work. And a lot of that falls on the Lakers and how they've built the team because it's not built well around him. But at a certain point, it's like you just can't ask that much of this 40-year-old guy every single night. And it's already apparent how good they need him to be every night just to scrape by regular season wins. So again, I think he's still a good player and like an NBA All-Star. This might be the first time he misses All-NBA since his second year in the league when he was 19 years old. So I think it's been like 20 straight years of All-NBA, which is one of the 15 best players in the league. And I would say right now that's in serious jeopardy. We'll see what happens. It's a long season, and who knows with all the 65 game rules.
I think
he might get
with the Lakers thing too. I feel like it's almost like he's ready to take on that like Kareem role at the Kareem, but they don't have a Magic Johnson in there to like.
Well, and it should be Anthony Davis, and he started off the year amazingly. He was an
he's
MVP
no Magic Johnson.
Well, no, but just in terms of like the team is built. The idea of the team is that LeBron would be able to fade a little while Davis becomes the clear focal point, like main guy. Through 10 games or so, it looked like that was going to be the case. He was having an amazing start to the season, and then he's just. I don't know what's happened, but 2 games ago he had 12 points. Tonight he only had 8 points. I don't even know if you saw what happened to the Lakers tonight, but they got absolutely
massacred,
demolished by the Heat, who we talked enough about them last episode.
Good.
You know, that's not exactly the best.
No Jimmy Butler either in that game too. So
no, Butler did play tonight.
Oh, okay.
Of course, he played for the Lakers.
I thought I saw some injury report that said he wasn't playing as the Lakers, but maybe that was like he's.
It was the other way around. He was playing because it's the Lakers, but
I get it.
That
makes more sense.
This was one of the more pathetic. Like Magic Johnson tweeted out that it was embarrassing for the Lakers. Magic Johnson, who I don't think has ever said anything negative about even like he wouldn't even criticize like Hitler. So for him to say something bad about the Lakers, I just mean like Magic Johnson. If you're not familiar with his Twitter game. He's not someone who is negative about anything. So for him to be negative about to call the Lakers embarrassing for him is like, holy shit.
I'm embarrassed for the Lakers. They were down 32 points. I love Texas. So
I mean, it's a
they
classic.
They were down 32 points to Miami Heat, 105-72 at the end of the third quarter. So it's like he's like, I'm not going to wait.
He's just stating what's happening. It's just a fact.
This is done.
But it's been so brutal lately. Like they're completely falling apart after their good start. That was one thing. There's worst effort probably by an NBA team for 48 minutes this entire season. Especially on the defensive end. Like they were just letting the Heat do anything they wanted. There's a possession going around on Twitter. We can share the clip, but there's a possession early in the game where I think Hero drives and goes up to shoot. No one even contests him, and then in midair he just does like a jump pass to Robinson, who's under the hoop. No one's guarding him, and no one even moves to guard him. And he's just kind of standing still, right under the basket with the ball wide open for like a second, almost as if like confused as to why no one's like even trying to defend him. And then he just like casually passes it back out to someone for a wide open 3. It's incredible. Like it's a laugh out loud funny like 10-second possession for anyone.
I gotta find that.
This isn't one of those things where you have to like watch film to break down defense. This is just like, oh my god, what are those guys doing? Why do they care this little? And then JJ Redick, who's been a friend of the pod, but man, this guy is just like the angriest hardo ever. And now that the team's playing bad, it's just getting so funny so fast. So like I was already saying, there's a thing after the game, his press conference, he was just so pissed. It's like Redick said he's going to meet with his coaching staff, his players, and then certain players individually to try to prevent the group from splintering further. Then JJ said, I'm embarrassed. Good. We're all embarrassed. It's not a game where we had the right fight, the right professionalism. There has to be some ownership. I own this, but there's going to have to be some ownership on the court. So, I mean, I don't know. This is just absolutely hilarious.
Hate to see
the amount of, we've talked about how the Celtics are kind of such a machine that it might be tough for us to create content on a nightly basis. But thank you to our good close personal enemies, the Sixers and the Lakers, for filling all of our empty air.
Yeah, anytime we have nothing for around the league, you just be like, "Oh, these teams suck, huh?"
Yeah, which is awesome. And I guess that's a good transition into the Sixers, who had a little bit of a hot streak going. They had won 2 in a row, but they fell tonight to the Magic to drop to 5-15 on the year. Joel Embiid did not play. Shocker. Paul George, he played last night, so I think he earned the night off. Not like they're trying to dig out of a 10-game under 500 hole or anything like that to the guy they just signed a max contract to. He obviously needed the night off to prep for his next podcast episode. So the Sixers suffered a tough loss, and this one particularly hurt because they made it close. They actually got it down to a 1-possession game. They were down 3 with 5 seconds left, threw it into Maxey, who was obviously anticipating the foul. The guy went for the reach in to foul him, and he just went up with it. Refs didn't call it, so he basically just hoisted up an awful shot
terrible.
with 5 seconds left.
I love when that happens. That's always the funniest.
Him and Nick Nurse were absolutely freaking out that they didn't call it. And it's just yeah, man. Well, you wouldn't have to be so pissed if you weren't 5-15
just
or whatever.
Take a good look, yeah.
Yeah, and on a side note too, I don't know if you've seen the knee brace that Paul George is wearing. Have you seen this thing?
No.
It looks like. Picture Barry Bonds' elbow in
Well, I was gonna say it's like the Stone Cold leg braces. I don't know how familiar you are with those.
It might be more preposterous. I honestly,
I'm gonna look it up right now.
It's so crazy. I don't know how he can play basketball while wearing it. There's no chance that even with a running start he can jump and
George knee brace is the first thing that came up.
So I just sent you the picture of the close up of his leg, and it's
yeah,
it looks like he's wearing snow pants. I don't even know.
That is
I've never seen anything like that
for
a basketball player. That is absolutely absurd that he's just casually wearing that. And he's their healthy star. So he's the star with the good knees. So man, I don't even. What can you even say about that team at this point? It's absurd to me.
That is an insanely huge knee brace.
Yeah, I've never seen anything.
It's like a weapon.
I don't. It looks like something that if you wear that, your leg should have to be elevated at all times. You can't walk with that around your leg. I would think.
That's crazy.
And he had a pretty good game last night, and they won. So hey, but I feel like that has to be at least a little concerning for the guy that is in the first year of his new max contract.
Yeah.
So yeah,
right.
that was your nightly Sixers update there.
That's good. Yeah, I mean that's a good one. The knee brace is incredible. I'm gonna have to find someone to meme that. Yeah,
brace, find some other braces in sports history. I think,
dude,
this has to rival the biggest, the bulkiest.
I think the Barry Bonds versus that is a good knee brace battle.
Yeah. Maybe Gronk.
All right.
Gronk had some serious knee braces.
Gronk had, he had some serious ones too. It's true. All right, we got this Bucks coming to town. Bucks have won
They lost tonight. So the two teams that were on the longest win streaks after we lost, the Magic were on a 6-game win streak. They obviously got smoked last night by the Knicks. And the Bucks, I think it was a 7-game win streak, but obviously they won last night, but fell tonight to the Hawks, who all the Hawks do is beat good teams.
Yeah.
So
the Bucks are the Bucks
a good team. I'm going to say it right there. They've figured some things out. They've got it together. They still, they have the same weaknesses as they had before. They're a shallow team. They're an old team. They suffer in a lot of areas. When Brook Lopez is not on the court, they really suffer on both ends of the floor, which is, it's concerning. Brook Lopez is a good player, but it's concerning how much they need him to be good. And that kind of goes up and down. Obviously Giannis is Giannis, but they just have no margin for error. If all of their guys show up and play well, you can still see a very good team. But it's if any of their top few guys don't have it, they're in trouble. And they're still relying on a lot of guys who aren't very good. Credit to Doc. He's gone deeper into his bench. I think some of the criticism must have started to get to him because it's he's finally just playing the young guys.
He's finally taking it seriously.
Yeah. But he would never play kids over awful, clearly washed vets. I think he's been shamed into doing it. He's found something in AJ Green with the shooting. He's found something in Andre Jackson Jr. with the athleticism. So I think they're better that team than the one we've seen already this season. I still don't think they're close to the Celtics.
Is Chris Middleton back?
No.
Of course not.
No. But
has Chris Middleton ever played?
No.
So he's never there. Bucks fans always we didn't have Middleton. It's well, all right. Well, it's not my fault you don't have Middleton. It's right. He just,
yeah.
Fuck.
We should pick a player and start doing it with that. I don't know. We'll think of somebody from recent years who just didn't quite pan out. He's like, well, you
just
never
like
beat
Celtics
us with
lore, yeah.
Lonnie Walker, I've never seen anyone beat the Celtics with Lonnie Walker, so I'm just saying.
True.
But yeah, no, I expect a good test. Friday night. It should be pretty exciting crowd, and I think it'll be a good game because I think the way the Buck season started and then the way it's gone lately, obviously tonight's game notwithstanding, they've turned things around to the point where people have started to take them seriously. But it's been against a notably lousy schedule in a weak Eastern Conference. So I think it's a big measuring stick game for them. So I expect a really good punch for them to come out and try to show like, hey, we really have righted the ship. We really are legit, and we're going to be one of those top teams in the East. Hopefully the Celtics will show up with a little bit of not so fast, my friend. I'm sure you'll see as well rested of a Jayson Tatum as you'll probably ever see.
Until next week, he's going to have like 5 days off. Schedule, yeah.
True, but I don't know what the deal is with Drew, but I imagine this will be largely a full-strength Celtics team in a big home Friday night showdown against the team that at least thinks they're on our level and still has arguably the best player in the world. So it should be a really fun game.
Yep, looking forward to that one. I do think it'll be a lot better like way to see where the Bucks are truly at. Than the first contest where they were just in shambles. But yeah, we'll see everyone back here Friday after that game. Make sure you check us out after every Celtics game. Subscribe to the podcast. You get notified as soon as the episodes go live. We're on every podcast platform. We're on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Follow us on Twitter too at Chuddy's Corner. You can follow Chuddy on Twitter too. He's at King Chuddy. You can follow me on there. I'm at Doug_outs. And yeah, go ahead. Make sure you tell a friend to do the same. We'll see you all back here Friday, and take care.
Peace out, Chuddy heads.